move ahead to introduce Dr. Kunjal Sejpal. Dr. Kunjal completed her MBS from the prestigious SAIT GS Medical College and KM Hospital, Mumbai. She then pursued her ophthalmology and cornea specialty training from the world-renowned Sankar Nethralaya, Chennai. Later, she trained at the famous Jules Steen Eye Institute, Los Angeles. She worked as a faculty at the esteemed LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad. She is currently practicing in Mumbai as a cataract, cornea, and a LASIK specialist. She is an active member of the several ophthalmic societies and participates regularly in academic meetings where she delivers talks related to her specialty. She has several publications in peer-reviewed journals. She is the first woman in Maharashtra to perform the complicated surgery of corneal neutralization for neutrophilic corneas. Kunjal, a warm welcome to you on behalf of Udaan Saluters. We are very fortunate that amongst us we have such a renowned person from a medical fraternity. As you are aware, most of us, the participants today, also in this live stream in social media, what is going are non-medical. So maybe the questions what will be coming to you will be little, non-technical in nature. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Rishikesh. Thank you very much, and thank you, Udaan, for having me here. Thank you, Mr. Sharad, for all the arrangements. It's really indeed a pleasure to be here with you all. And thank you everybody for attending this on Zoom as well as on the FB Live. Over the next 40-45 minutes, I will take you through the various conditions that affect the eye. I have a lot of pictures and I hope I can make the talk very interesting. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. At the end of it, I'm happy to take your questions. Those on Zoom, please feel free to chat. You write it down in the chat box and the others can put it on the comment section on the FB page. So now I'm going to share my screen and I'll share my PowerPoint presentation with you. Okay, am I audible? Is this clearly visible to you all?
Yeah,
Mr. Sharad, yeah, okay, I'll get started. Okay, so first let's try to understand the basic structure of the eye in short. Okay, so the front portion of the eye is the transparent portion, which is the cornea. Okay, this is a cross section when you see somebody's eye from the side. So this is the front portion of the eye, which is called as the cornea. It is a transparent portion and hence it is not visible from outside. What we see from outside, the black or the brown ball is this structure called as the iris. It has a small hole in the center, which is the pupil. Now behind this is the lens, okay? The lens is the structure in which everybody develops the common condition of cataract. Now, the white portion, which is around the black portion, is here. Okay, this is the white portion. It's the outer protective cover and it is called as the sclera. Now, inside to the sclera is the most important structure here in red, which is the retina. Okay, within that is a big jelly. Okay, it's a jelly which fills the eye and it moves. And as we age, the jelly becomes liquid. So many times some elderly patients say that we have some black object which is floating in front of our eyes. That is because this jelly is becoming more and more liquid with age. And the most important structure which gives us vision is here. It's called the optic nerve and this is the macula. So after briefly understanding the structure of the eye, let's go over the common conditions which affect our eye. So here, so we need to understand that having glasses, okay, is one of the most natural things, and it's nothing really wrong with anybody's eye, you know, that you have glasses. Okay, so how does anybody get a glass number? Okay, why does anybody have a glass number? See, when you have the rays from outside, which are being focused by your cornea on the lens, okay, they are being focused such that they will fall on the retina. And that's how you're going to be able to see objects. Now, when you have an eye of a particular shape and length, they fall exactly on the retina. And these people don't have any glass numbers. They don't need any additional power to focus the image on their retina. Supposing they are having an eye which is shorter than the normal average people, then the image will fall at the back. So these people develop something called as a hyperopia, and they need a plus number lens. When we have an eye which is longer, okay, than the normal population, then the image falls in front of the retina. These people develop something called as a myopia and a minus glasses number. Okay, so now what did you do, that you had glasses? You did nothing. Okay, it's a genetically predisposed condition. Okay, genetically you are going to be, genetics is going to decide what kind of shape your eye is going to have, and that's how you will have an eye number, right? So depending on the shape that your eye develops, you're going to have a glass number. Now the cornea, the front part, okay, that also has a shape of its own. Depending on the shape that the cornea has, you will get a cylindrical number, and that is called as astigmatism. Now this myopia that I said, minus number, is the most common glass number that we see. So let's talk a little bit about in detail about this condition. What we have seen is that in the last decade or so, a lot of children develop myopia, okay? And the incidence has really increased in the last year, so much so that the studies say that sometimes less than 7 to 10 years old, 30 to 70 children in Asia can have myopia. So there is a reason, there is a scientific reason for that. In the last decade or so, our dependence on digital devices has increased significantly. And we use laptop, mobile phones and iPads very in excess. When you're doing that, you're converging, okay? You're looking closer to you. So this causes accommodation, and that can cause a minus number in somebody's eye. Also, the outdoor activities have reduced. Children don't go out to play because they're busy doing extracurricular activities, which is again indoors many times. Okay, so exposure outside is limited, and hence there's a lot of increase in the number of people getting a minus number. So what do we need to do? We need to take certain steps to prevent this minus number from increasing in children. There are a couple of things that we need to follow for this, which I will cover in the next slide, along with what we do for the adults. But we need to limit the screen time in children. Less than a couple of years old children should not have any exposure to digital devices. And older than that, you can have a couple of hours of exposure, maybe say from 2 to 5 or 6 years of age, and then gradually increase the number of hours of exposure to the digital devices. Also that there should be frequent breaks which should be followed, okay, when you're using the digital devices. We'll talk about it in the next slide. There should be increased activity which is outdoors, okay? You should encourage children to have outdoor activities because there is a role of green light, there is a role of sunlight in the eye development, and hence you may be able to prevent the increase in this minus number. Now the good news is that now we have some special eye drops which we give children when they have a progressive eye number, a minus eye number, okay? So we have a special category where we decide in what age group, in what kind of a number we would like to start those special drops, okay? And we also have some special lenses which we give overnight, and that has some role in preventing the minus number from progressing. So an earnest request to all the parents, get your children's eye for an eye checkup as early as 2 to 3 years of age, and at least after that annually, if not possible at least once in a couple of years. Especially be sensitive to children squeezing their eyes and observing objects, or they are like blinking frequently or going close to the television to observe the screen. Be vigilant about these conditions. Now a continuation of this is digital eye strain, okay? All adults who are on the computers all the time complain about this, and now this lockdown special has really put all the children in front of the computers using their online schools. So this digital eye strain, or we call it as a computer vision syndrome, is the most common problem that we are facing right now, either on teleconsults or on physical consults in the clinic. What happens is that at the end of a couple of hours of continuous computer work, patients complain of tired eyes, pain around the eye, heaviness, sleepy feeling, dry eyes, watery eyes. Okay, this is all a part of the digital eye strain. So what do we do? First is we have to take frequent breaks while you're working at the computer. Choose a place at home where you will be sitting, which is very comfortable, so that you have enough space to have a good erect posture, back support, good position for your legs, and enough support for your hands, to use your keypad. Keep your computers at a comfortable distance, at least like 40 to 70 centimeters away from you. Keep your screen at your eye level or 4 to 5 inches below that. Don't keep the brightness very maximum, keep it just optimal. Ensure that the light, the tube lights and the light in the room is not falling from the back. Otherwise, it will get reflected from the computer screen. Okay, so just let it fall from the top or from the sides. Also, for children, what is recommended that if you have any way in which you can, like a Chromecast, you just project everything on a larger screen, okay? Instead of them doing their online classes on the iPads or the mobiles, let them do it on a larger screen, like a television screen, because that doesn't make them look at near and converge, okay? Also, reduce the amount of AC use, because your tears will evaporate very fast and that will precipitate dryness, okay? So one thing that all children who are studying and cannot limit, you cannot limit their duration of or studying on the online school, and you cannot reduce their screen time, at least right now. So they and all the adults who are working from home or working in the offices should follow what we call as the 20-20-20 rule. That is, after every 20 minutes, for a period of 20 seconds, look at a far away object, 20 feet away from you, and blink. Not very difficult to do. If you're in an office, if you just have to pick up a file, you just have a quick walk, drink water. When you're talking on the phone, just quickly close your eyes, blink 2-3 times, okay? This will break the cycle of looking at near continuously. It will replenish your tears because you're blinking, and your dryness will improve significantly. So supposing you do have a lot of dry eye, okay, and you do complain of very tired feeling at the end of the day, please go to your doctors. They will prescribe some drops for you. You can use it through the day at regular intervals. Also, because of the increasing pollution, because of hormonal changes in females, especially after menopause, so we have a lot of increase in the dryness now currently in the population. So it's a very common problem. It affects the front part of the eye, the cornea, okay? And patients develop these spots which are seen in these pictures. Now, all dryness patients are not very simple. Some of them are very complicated, and they have some conditions in their body which is causing them to have dryness, okay? So they need a detailed systemic evaluation, and I, being a cornea specialist, especially get a lot of these kind of patients who have complicated body problems causing dryness. So they need a treatment by a step ladder approach, by a different variety of drops, and sometimes by minor surgical procedures also. Now let's go on to the next common condition, which is redness. Now, often we think, oh, the eye is red, it must be just sore eyes. Let's just pick up a drop from the chemist. Do not do that, okay? Because the red eye is because of many conditions, okay? And it's, we had this lockdown beginning in the peak of the summer, March and April, and all these conditions, especially conjunctivitis, allergy, they will all flare up during seasonal changes and during the summer season. So we had a lot of teleconsults this time during March and April for the red eye. Let's quickly go over some tips and, some details about these conditions which cause redness. Very common condition is conjunctivitis, what we call as the sore eyes, okay? Now this conjunctivitis can be because of bacteria, viruses, okay? So unless you go to your doctor, you won't know really what it is. You will feel redness, you will feel sticky, you will feel that your eyes are watering, okay? And you're not able to open them and they'll be very uncomfortable, okay? So what should you do? Go to your doctor as soon as possible. Avoid taking drops from the chemist because they are often steroid eye drops which may harm your eyes if you have conjunctivitis. Maintain hygiene. If you don't want your family to get infected, maintain good hygiene. Do not touch your eyes. If you touch your eyes, wash your hands immediately. Do not share your handkerchief or your towel with others. Keep a tissue, dab your eyes and discard it, and wash your hands. And use the drops which your doctor gives you regularly. If you feel your eyes are very sticky, just warm some water, soak a cotton in that, squeeze it and gently clean your eyes from outside and you will feel very comfortable. Okay. The common question asked is, doctor, I want to wear the dark glasses because I don't want to look at others and I don't want to infect them. The dark glasses or the black glasses are given because you are sensitive to light. So it's given for your comfort. If you look at somebody with conjunctivitis, you're not going to get conjunctivitis. How will you get it? If you touch the objects which that person has touched after touching his or her eye. So if you touch your eye, touch your mobile, your doorknobs, handles, and then everybody else goes around touching it and touches your eye, that's how the infection is going to spread in the family. Okay, so visit your eye doctor. Supposing the doctor says, come to me after 2 weeks of getting resolved, you know, when your redness is over, listen to your doctor. As a cornea specialist, I get a lot of patients who develop white spots on their cornea 2 weeks after the redness goes away or the redness starts and few days after it goes away. So this needs special treatment. So make sure that you follow the instructions given by the doctor religiously. The next common condition, the summer special, is allergy. Very commonly seen in children, but sometimes seen in adults, elderly people also. Not elderly, but in teenagers. In this, you will see that the child or the patient is constantly rubbing the eye, has lot of watering, and has redness also. Okay. This cannot be treated by yourself by over-the-counter drops. It needs a step-ladder approach depending on the severity of the allergy. This can be very simple allergy or it can be very complicated where the allergy lasts for many years and it involves the front part of the cornea and the vision goes down, and then it involves sometimes specialists like us. And also a note that people who are allergy prone, okay, like they have repeated allergy attacks of cold or they have asthma, they will have more chances of developing the allergy. So 2 things you should do before you can approach your doctor. Stop rubbing your eyes because if you rub it, your allergy will increase. Take ice in a handkerchief, dab your eyes and keep it over your eyes for a few minutes and it will give you a lot of relief from your itching. And use the drops which the doctor prescribes you. One note of caution. We see that patients use the drops which we give them this year when they have the allergy, and then every time in few months they have the allergy, they self-medicate with the same prescription. Beware that we have to give steroids during this condition and they cannot be used as per your discretion. We decide depending on the eye, the duration for which you should be using the drops. So kindly do not use the old prescription which your doctor gave you 4-5 months ago or the previous summer and follow the same drops when you have allergies this year, okay? Please visit your doctor whenever you have a problem. Every year, hopefully not, but as soon as you have a problem, please see your doctor. The next common cause of the redness is having a red spot in the eye, okay? So these are pictures of this lockdown where people sent me photographs of, you know, having red spots. This is nothing but a small bleeding in the vessels around the white portion, very common in elderly people, or if you have injured, you know, and rubbed hard, okay, then the blood vessel will rupture and there will be a little bit of a bleeding. Nothing much to be given. It will resolve on its own. We start a couple of tablets or drops sometimes for relief, but otherwise nothing much to worry about this condition. The next condition causing the redness is inflammation. This is little complicated. It needs a detailed evaluation by an eye doctor. Avoid over-the-counter drops and just follow the instructions given by the doctor. So now after dealing with a few medical conditions, let's come to something surgical, okay? We spoke about glasses in children, but many of us don't like to wear glasses. So what do we do? So once the child is old enough, like a teenager, okay, and we feel that is responsible enough and can take care of contact lenses, we can prescribe and teach them how to use contact lenses. Make sure that you take it from a reliable source, because you have to learn the handling and the care of the lenses very well, right? So supposing you don't want to use contact lenses and you want to get rid of your glasses forever, then we do something called as laser vision correction. That is, we remove the number, we remove the glass number. Now, there are special evaluation tests which needs to be done, so we can decide whether you are suitable to have the correction done for your eyes or not. Okay, we have to see whether your cornea is healthy enough to do your correction and to remove your number or not, right? So we are going to go, when you go to the eye doctor, they will evaluate you, do a number of tests for you, and then decide whether you are suitable to get the laser vision correction. Now, there are various types of surgeries that we do. The most common is the LASIK surgery, okay? We do LASIK on the cornea, okay? Basically, the glass number is removed by doing surgery on the front part, which is the cornea, okay? So in LASIK, what do? We have to lift a flap of the cornea, okay? Here you see the flap which is lifted. This is followed by doing the laser to remove the number, and then we put the flap back. So LASIK is a procedure which involves lifting the flap. This is done with the blade. The newer technology in this is doing it without the blade, also called as the femto LASIK, which is by using a special laser called as the femto laser. It is called as the bladeless LASIK, okay? There are certain procedures which we do without lifting this flap, again on the cornea. The older one is a PRK, in which we do it for small numbers, and the newer advanced technology is called as a SMILE, okay, in which there is no flap. We do a small cut here on the cornea, and we remove a small part of the cornea corresponding to the number, and that's about it. So basically, the minus numbered people are the ones who come more for the LASIK or any laser vision correction to us. Some amount of cylindrical number and some amount of plus number also can be corrected. Now we also have technology to do this surgery for people who are over 40. We do this surgery for usually younger people, okay? Once their number is stable, after 18 to 20, 21 years of age, when their number stops increasing, we can go ahead and do the LASIK surgery, okay? And we can remove your number. Sometimes patients who come to us after 40 and they have glasses for distance and for near both, there are special ways to get rid of those also. So now we are doing those kind of surgeries also. And for some people who have a very high number and LASIK cannot be done in that, we implant a special lens, okay, called as ICL. We put it inside the eye. Like how you wear a contact lens outside, we put that lens inside the eye, okay? So all this is possible. You just need to be aware and your doctor will take care of the details for you. Coming to the next common surgery that we do, which is the cataract. As I said, that the lens in the eye is the one where the cataract develops. Now, cataracts is basically a condition of the older age group. However, we have seen a lot of people in the younger age group now who are developing cataract. Maybe something to do with ultraviolet light exposure, or maybe because we have a lot of diabetes increasing in the normal population, and diabetics will develop cataracts early. So this is how the lens, which is otherwise transparent, will look when you have a cataract. Okay, it will change its color from gray, green to becoming white. When it becomes white, we call it mature. Do not wait for the cataract to become mature, because when you have a cataract which is in the early stages, it is easier to do the surgery. So when should you do your surgery for cataract? When you start feeling that there's a little bit of a problem. How would you know that you have a problem? If you close one eye, especially if you close one eye, you would know that you're seeing objects little blurred, or you're not able to tolerate the glare from the lights, like while driving or while crossing the road. Okay. So if you have these symptoms, you should consult your doctor for cataract. So what do we do? How do we solve this problem? We make a small cut in the cornea, okay, and we go inside with a machine and we dissolve the cataract by ultrasound energy. And this surgery is called as phacoemulsification, which is the stitchless cataract surgery. Now, we also have an advancement in this field. Instead of just using the phacoemulsification machine and dissolving the cataract, we additionally use the femtosecond, which I explained to you for LASIK, to help us in some steps of the cataract surgery to make this cataract surgery easy. So what we commonly perform is phacoemulsification, and if you want to go one step higher, then we do the femtosecond assisted cataract surgery, which involves the femtosecond laser and the regular phacoemulsification surgery also. So we go inside, we dissolve the lens and we eat it up and it's gone. And we put in an artificial lens from the same cut that we made. So this is a variety of the lenses which your doctor will offer you. It can be this kind of a monofocal lens, okay, which can be white, or it can be yellow to protect you from the harmful UV lights. And it will help you to get rid of your glass number for distance. If you want to get rid of your glass number for distance as well as for reading, then the doctor will offer you a multifocal or a trifocal lens. If you have a high cylindrical number, your doctor may offer you something called as the toric lens. So basically, as years have gone by, we have made a lot of advance and we have a lot of newer lenses. And you just need to be aware, and depending on what is suitable for your eye, your doctor will help you make a choice of the lens for you. Now we'll come to a next common condition, which is called as glaucoma. Now glaucoma is very popularly known as the silent killer disease. Why is it said so? Basically, what is glaucoma? It's a condition of the eye in which the main nerve, you remember the first diagram I showed you, the optic nerve which gives you vision, that is the main nerve that gives you, that allows you to see well. That size of the nerve usually is very small, okay? In glaucoma, the pressure inside the eyeball increases, okay, because of many reasons. Some people are genetically prone to it, and there are a lot of other conditions also which predisposes you to glaucoma. And in some cases, even when the pressure is not high and it is normal, but that eye cannot even take that normal pressure, and that damages the nerve completely. So when the nerve is damaged, it will look like this, okay? This is advanced damage. You see this cup here, this white colored cup, the size from this small circle, it will go on increasing till it becomes very big. And then the healthy nerve will be completely lost and it will become completely white. So what is the problem with glaucoma? The problem with glaucoma is that you never know that you have a problem in the early stages because there are no symptoms. So the only way to detect the problem is that you have an eye checkup. Everybody over 40, 45 years should have an eye checkup done where the nerve is checked in detail and the eye pressure is evaluated. If you are a diabetic, if you have a person in your family who has glaucoma, then definitely you should do this for yourself. What happens in glaucoma is that you see this photograph here. Here you in this photograph, you can see everything in this picture. In this picture, because the patient has an early glaucoma and his nerve is damaged minimally, he is not able to see a little bit in the sides. So supposing this happens in one eye and the other eye is normal, you are never going to know that you have a problem until the condition increases and your side vision goes down, 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 so much so that you have very little side vision left and you have only central vision left. This problem affects both the eyes. It may be affected to a lesser or a greater degree, but it is usually affecting both the eyes, okay? So we don't want patients to reach this level because it's not reversible. Any damage which is done to the nerves is not reversible. So even if your doctor prescribes you drops to control the pressure or does a surgery to control the pressure, you are never going to get back this side vision which you have lost. All this treatment is done to maintain the patient's condition at the level at which it is. And hence, evaluation in elderly age group is very important. Coming to diabetes and the eye. Now, diabetes affects many parts of the body, as you all know. Okay, it affects blood vessels throughout your body. So the eye is no exception. Diabetic patients will get more dryness and they have a lot of weird kind of pain in their eyes also because their nerve endings, the nerves of the eyes are affected. They are prone to develop glaucoma. They will develop cataracts early in their life. And the worst of all, they will have a damage to their retina. Anybody who's a diabetic for more than 3 years is likely to get changes in their retina. After 15 years of age, the chances of getting the problem in your eyes is 30, 40, 50%. That many patients can develop a problem in their eye because of diabetes. Supposing you have diabetes for 30 years, even if it is well controlled, 80 to 90% people can sometimes develop these problems in their retina. So again, unless you go to the eye doctor, you will not know that you have an early problem in the retina. This is because when your diabetic problem is affecting the retina in the early stages, you're going to have very small issues like bleeding. Okay, you can see these blood spots in the retina. This is your retina. This is the nerve which I was talking about. This is the macula. So these tiny, tiny blood spots are in the side and the patients will never know they have a problem until the center part here is getting affected. So if you are a diabetic, please go for an eye checkup every year. And once you develop a problem, you will have to go even earlier than a year as per your doctor's advice. As the condition progresses, you will develop cholesterol deposits. You can see these yellow deposits here. All this will develop in your eye as time goes by, and there will be swelling developed here in the macula. And then the patient's vision, whatever he's seeing, will go down gradually. As the condition further progresses, a lot of other changes will happen in the eye. New blood vessels will form in the retina, and then there can be bleeding. Sometimes the way we detect that the patient has a problem is because there will be a sudden bleeding in the eye. The vision will completely black out. Okay, the patient will just be able to see his fingers and there is complete loss of the vision. And that's how we know that they actually had a problem. And sometimes this retina can just get lifted from its position. So we don't want the patient to reach this stage. So what do you have to do? When you're a diabetic, go for your regular eye checkups. Keep your sugars under control. Keep your weight under control. Your blood pressure, your cholesterol should be under control, and you should strictly avoid smoking. Another condition of the elderly, which is not uncommon, is that age-related macular degeneration. This is a condition of the retina of the center part. Okay. Now, what I was explaining to you in glaucoma is that you lose your side vision and the central vision remains. In this condition of age-related macular degeneration, your center vision is lost. So in this, what happens is that you will be able to see, say, a squared picture, but you will see a black circular shadow in between because that part of your retina is damaged. In the dry form, which you see here, we don't have to do much. We have to just keep you under observation, stop the cigarette smoking, and give you some special tablets which are a nutrition for the retina. However, if there is a complicated problem like a membrane and bleeding, then we need injections in the eye. Even for diabetes, when the condition progresses, we need to treat it with lasers and injections, and sometimes we have to do surgery. Okay, so all these things can be prevented by a regular eye checkup. Now we are nearing the end of the presentation. I discussed these common eye problems that we face with you. I, being a cornea specialist, deal with some specific problems also with, because more referrals for cornea cases come to me. So I deal with problems like this, in which there is an infection in the eye. Okay, it's called as a corneal ulcer. There is a problem in the shape of the cornea. It is not a regular shape. It's an abnormal shape. It's different. It's like a cone. Okay, this condition here, it's called keratoconus. The white transparent cornea becomes totally white and the patient loses vision. This can happen because of various reasons. Okay, so that this is when the condition where the cornea becomes white. We sometimes have to change the cornea to give the vision. So when you have an eye donation, when somebody dies and they are willing to donate their eyes, which is a very noble gesture, we take the cornea of the patient, okay, and this is how it looks. This is the central cornea which we have taken from the patient's donated eye, and we have stitched it here with stitches, and this gives new vision, gives very good vision to the patient who had a white cornea. Okay, so this is called as corneal transplantation. The full cornea has been stitched here. Now we have an advanced technique in which we will not take the full cornea, but only the thin inside part of the cornea and put it in the eye. Okay, so this is that special procedure called as endothelial keratoplasty, which can be done in specific conditions. And in addition to that, we have patients coming with chemical damage in their eye, with some tumors in their eye, with some white mass in their eye. So we do all those surgeries. And one last thing, just for cosmesis, what we do is called as corneal tattoo. You can see that this patient has lost the vision completely, and anything that we do cannot restore the vision in the eye. But at least because it's a young patient, you want the patient to look good, okay, to have a lot of self-confidence. We color up the cornea by a procedure called corneal tattooing, which is one of my favorite procedures, and we can really give them, a new personality, a new look, and they get very confident and they love it. And so I do a lot of these surgeries. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope I could add some value to the knowledge that you all had. And thank you for your patient listening, and thank you each and everybody for attending. I'm happy to take questions if you have.
That was a very informing session, Dr. Kunjal. Really, for us non-technical people also, I think we are now able to relate and understand the finer details relating to the eye and the ailments attached to it. And no doubt, Google will not help us. We should go and approach specialists like you to overcome whatever the problems are there. Lots of questions I am getting, Dr. Kunjal. With your kind permission, should I start taking it one by one?
Yes, please, pleasure.
So first I'm starting with some of the questions coming from the Zoom. There is one, first question is, I have a problem of increased intralacular pressure. What will be the right position while sleeping? Whether raised head position helps?
No, I don't believe that head position, raised head position will help. No, that has not been really shown to help. Basically, this is the glaucoma problem that I was describing. This person who is, Madhura is describing, she must be having a problem with the eye pressure. So I'm sure that your doctor has given you some eye drops. The sleeping position is not an issue. You can sleep on either sides. The only thing that you should not do is a specific yoga forms, you know, like you should not, you know, Shirsasana, you should not put your head down and do those kind of yoga exercises. Those are the kind of exercises which can increase the eye pressure. Okay, it can spike up the eye pressure during the time that you're doing the yoga, and if it spikes suddenly, it can cause little damage to the nerve. Other than that, positioning of your head in terms of sleeping with 1-2 pillows doesn't have an effect. So just be normal the way you have been and just continue using the drops that you're using.
So Madhura, I hope you have got your answer. I'll also request all the panelists and participants to please keep on punching the questions because we are running short of time. Second question is from Mr. Sandeep. He asked, my daughter gets tears in her eyes while attending school sessions, and then she gets headache. She is around 10 years old.
Okay, so if your problem has started only recently, when you have started attending the school sessions online, then maybe it's because she's not really getting used to the digital devices. Okay, so the first thing is that you please give her frequent breaks while she's at the online school. Okay, make sure that she is not using the screen to a very high brightness level. And I think the cause of the headache is what I explained to you. It's you know, convergence, because they're continuously looking at near. So first thing is you just give her frequent breaks, keep her well hydrated, eat and, you know, frequent breaks, and give her some water and something to eat, keep her posture comfortable, and just make sure that she's not missing the alphabets. Like, just try and compare the vision by closing one eye at a time, and just check if she's able to see clearly with both eyes. And if you feel that there's some problem in that, then I think it would be worthwhile to consult the doctor and get her eye number checked.
So I think, Mr. Sandeep, you would have got the answer what you were wanting. Mr. Nirav is there. He is asking, my right eye keeps getting infected once a month, and the doctor is advising me to take drops and hot fermentation, and that it is a regular infection.
Okay, so sir, I'm not sure whether your doctor has told you that you have an eyelid infection. I'm not sure if you're talking about the eyelid infection. That is extremely common if you're talking about the eyelid infection. Okay, so we have glands, you know, just inside to the lashes where we girls put kajal. That glands can get infected. Okay, so we advise you to do hot fermentation, and that should be done regularly. And we do give a certain type of an ointment to use. Now, your condition is very peculiar. There are 3-4 things which I would like to evaluate if somebody like you comes to me, whether you have dandruff, whether you have an oily skin, whether you have something called acne rosacea and things like that. And then depending on your severity and your history in the last year, I would like to give you some treatment. It can be in the form of tablets, and in some cases in the form of some treatment with machines, some sessions that we give in the office. So if you have a problem related to the eyelid and it's something like what I'm explaining, I'll be happy to consult you, and I'll put up my details soon.
One of the person is asking through FB Live, how to choose lenses for cataract.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very common question. So I briefly described the 3 types of lenses which your doctor will offer you. So two ways to answer this question. One answer is that I never tell my patients, you know, to if they are not able to afford all the special lenses, because the toric and the multifocal that I told you are expensive lenses. Okay, so I will never tell the patient that loan leke acha lens lagao. That's not what I'm going to do. So how will you choose? Indian, imported, how will you choose? One thing is your budget. Okay, the first thing that will decide it is your budget. Is there a big difference between Indian and imported? Yes and no both, depending on the lens that you're choosing. There are certain subtle differences which your doctor will explain to you about the contrast sensitivity, about the what independence will it give you. Like, it will give you spectacle independence at computer level, it will give you independence while driving, or it will give you independence while reading. All these factors and your profession needs. Okay, so all this will be taken into consideration when the lenses are going to be offered to you. So the standard monofocal lenses is what anybody will choose, you know, anyways. Okay, but because we have the option of newer premium lenses, which give you a lot of improved quality of life, if I may say so, I would suggest that you discuss all these lenses with your doctor and then choose what sits in your budget.
Next question is coming from Suchita. She asks, can we treat lazy eyes? I don't know what lazy
Yes,
eyes is.
yes. I did not cover it in detail for, to maintain the timing. Lazy eye is a very common problem. As I was explaining that, unless you take your child for a checkup, you will not know that they have a number. Now, what if the child has number only in one eye? The child is seeing very well with the other eye. So you will never know that you have the child has an eye number for a long time, unless you close one eye and actually, they suddenly realize, oh, I can't see with the other eye. Or the child doesn't share with the parent, and you've not seen the neighbor ke book में सिर्फ देख रहा है और लिख रहा है homework, he's able to manage school studies, he can't see the blackboard but doesn't tell his parents, so the eye remains lazy. So what do we do for it? We give glasses which have to be worn regularly. Supposing the child has a squint, okay, the eye is not straight and it has squinted, we have to do some treatment for that also. And what I do very commonly is that we ask the children to patch. We put a cotton or a patch in the eye and give them exercises. So the strong eye has to be covered and the weak eye is given exercises. This is called patching. And what new thing we have in this is we Rishikesh, am I audible?
Yes, you are very much. Hello.
Yeah. And the new thing that we...
Can you just, I think for a brief time you are not audible, so can you just restart it?
Yeah.
Whatever you are speaking.
So when the child has a lazy eye, what we do is we give them glasses. If the eye has deviated, it is not straight, then we do some treatment for that. We advise patching therapy, in which the strong eye is covered and the weak eye is made to do some exercises. And the newer thing in this is that we call the child to the office for some special exercises which are given on the laptop or the computer. It's vision therapy exercises. We have sessions of half an hour, and once the child is comfortable, we give it for home therapy. And after doing several sessions over a couple of months, we find a lot of improvement by doing all this. And if continued for 6-8 months, most of the children are able to get over their lazy eyes. However, if you have come very late, then, but even if the child is 12, 15, 18 years, we have seen a lot of improvement. So lazy eyes can be treated definitely.
Kunjal, on a very lighter note, I think when we were very small, or as a part of our growing up, I think our parents took us mostly to the orthopedics because our bones were breaking because we were playing outside. But in today's time, it seems that younger lot or the younger generation are coming more to the eye specialist rather than going to the orthopedics.
Rishikesh, I'm sorry, because of the internet connection, I lost your first half of your question.
So I'm telling on a very lighter note, the way I've understood the topic, when we were very small, quite often our parents was of 70s and 80s generation were taking us to the orthopedics because we were playing out and our bones were breaking. But now I think it has changed around, and more parents are taking small kids also on a serious note to the eye specialist, or on a very serious note, parents should take care and ensure that they take it to eye specialists, because the exposure what we are giving it to our children, maybe with phones, the iPads and the televisions and whatnot.
Right. Yes, I agree.
So now Smita is asking, do we get cataract once in your lifetime?
Absolutely. The lens can become cloudy only once, and after that the natural lens which you have in the eye is removed during surgery and the artificial lens is put in the eye. What commonly develops is what we call as the after cataract or the lens opacification, is that after we put the artificial lens, the support system in which it is placed can become white. Okay, so that's why somebody asks, some people ask, oh, is that cataract again? Has it come back again? No, cataract has not come back again. Your lens support system, behind the lens that we have placed, there is a natural support system. That support system has become white, and we do a small laser to treat that. It's an OPD procedure. It's not a surgery involved. So cataract will not develop again. But what I said, opacification of the lens support system can develop.
One question coming relating to lazy eye only. Can lazy eye be treated by LASIK surgery, let's say somewhere around 39, 40 years if the patient's age is?
No, at that age, supposing, the first 3 years of the life are extremely important in developing vision. So around till 7 to 8 years of age, all the development is complete. So if you have not had any treatment done, according to the latest developments that we had till 17, 18, 20 years, that also only in specific cases, to reverse the condition at 35, 40 is not possible. Supposing you have a -7 number in that eye and you go and do your LASIK surgery and the number is gone. So the number will be gone, but your vision will not come. So you will not need to wear a lens or a glass to be able to see that little bit that you were seeing with that, but you will not get an improvement in the amount of vision that you have currently. If you have 20, 30% vision, that's all that you will be able to see. You cannot get back your complete vision at that age.
Ma'am, how to avoid eyelashes which comes black in color? Is there any medicine or Ayurvedic medicine?
1 minute, I'll read the question. I'm not.
Surujan. Question is from Surujan.
I'm not sure what the question is because your eyelash color.
One thing, we will skip to next question, and meanwhile I'll ask Surujan to maybe rephrase the question and come back to us. Suchita is asking, does intense pulse light skin machines do cause cataract? How to avoid?
So this intense, I'm not sure if she's talking for the skin condition. There is a form of the machine that intense pulse light therapy that we use for some conditions of the eyelid. And I'm not sure about how the dermatologist or the skin doctor use it. But every time the machine is used, there is a way to protect the eye. So that has to be done, and that will be done by a doctor. If that is done, then you're not going to develop cataract by doing that treatment. If at all you're asking me in terms of some treatment that you're taking for your skin, then the eye has to be protected, and then you will not develop cataract.
One question coming from Facebook, Kerry D'Souza is there. The question is, if there is some particle like attached at the center of eye which shifts, which is like black spot in eye treatment, question mark. I don't know what the question is here. Are you able to get it? I'll just repeat the question. If there is some particle like attached at center of eye, which shifts, comma, which is like black spot in eye treatment.
Yeah. So in my first slide, I told you that the eyeball, okay, the round eyeball is filled with a jelly, okay. If they were there at the first slide, that is called as the vitreous jelly, okay. It's literally a jelly. When you age, that jelly is becoming more liquid. So you can understand the way a jelly will move and the way a liquid will move, okay. The liquid will move more. So when you are at an age when your jelly is becoming more liquid and it is able to move more, is when you will perceive that black dot in your eye. It's an extremely common condition. It is called as a floater, and it will suddenly develop, and it is actually a condition which causes a lot of paranoia. People get very scared when they develop the black spot. That condition is completely harmless except in 1 to 2% people, in which it can cause a pull on your retina and can cause a tear in your retina. So what should you do? You should go to your eye doctor. The doctor will put drops, check your retina in detail. If your retina is healthy, then you have to learn to ignore that black spot and just go to your doctor every year for the checkup. If along with this complaint, you develop flashing, if there is lightning flashes in front of the eye, then you should visit the doctor again. That indicates some problem in the retina. But if that has been checked and you don't have a problem in the retina, then this is a natural phenomenon which will happen to everybody. So you just have to relax and learn to ignore it. It will not go away, and sometimes it just goes away on its own.
I think we are in the many questions are coming, Kunjal, on our way. But as we are running short of time, I'll just try to take maybe 3 or 4 questions. Already we have shooted down the time.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to answer the questions on my email or my phone. If
So
I
can you
might
just
just move.
yeah, please do that. Why don't you just share or speak let us know your
Yeah, I'll
contact
just
details.
move away, see my
Sure,
background.
sure.
Okay.
Little bit. I think you should completely go outside. Yeah. So it is. Can you just speak it out?
Yeah, my email is drkunjal@gmail. Okay. And my cell number is 99692 03805.
Yeah. Now it's perfect. So I'm just repeating it. Dr. Kunjal @gmail.com, and the cell number is 9969203805. Yeah, Kunjal, you can come back. So one of the question is what one can do to maintain the eye pressure.
No, there is nothing that you can do to maintain the eye pressure if your pressure is normal and you don't have glaucoma. Okay. So only if you have a problem in the eye, that is glaucoma, and the pressure in your eye is damaging your nerve, only then you will be prescribed eye drops. So you can't really do anything, to sort of maintain the eye pressure.
Kunjal, one question, a layman like me, many of us would be there watching this. If let's suppose, God forbid, something happens to my eye or I want some consultancy during this COVID time, how can we contact you, or what are your timings, or where do you, how to go about it?
So if you've noted down my number, just feel free to text or WhatsApp me or call. Currently, we're having a little bit of restrictions in our working hours, preferably only in the morning. I basically practice in from Dadar to Bandra. I do visit a few other places. However, the visits are a little limited during COVID, but the teleconsults can be done at any time, morning and evening. We do have 1 hour each for teleconsults. And other than that, we have at least 4 days of OPDs running right now, especially in the morning half. So I'll be happy to help some of you.
So just for the benefit of the audience, like in our, in your, what to say, ki if someone wants a consultancy, you do surgeries as well, or it's only limited to the consultancy?
Absolutely. I do all types of surgeries like cataract, everything that I discussed with you about the cornea, all the LASIK surgeries. Yes, I do a lot of surgeries. Yes.
Very good. That's nice to hear. One question is ways in which diabetes can prevent onset of diabetic retinopathy.
Retinopathy. Yeah, so I already explained about what it does to the retina and how you develop diabetic retinopathy. So if you keep your sugars under control, your weight, your hemoglobin, your cholesterol under control, then the chances that you will develop diabetic retinopathy will go down significantly. Okay, so you should just have and stop smoking. This is all that you can do from your side. Despite doing all this, after many years of having diabetes, there are some patients who are prone to develop changes in their retina. If that happens, then in the early stages, it can be reversed on its own. And in the later stages, some laser therapy or some injections or surgery may be required. But if you keep everything under control, at least the chances that you will develop a problem will be reduced.
One question coming from FB, though we are pressing short of time, I'll request Kunjal maybe for 5-7 minutes if we can extend it.
Yeah, sure, no
Lots
problem.
of questions are coming. So issue is such that, as you know, Udaan is also doing all these sessions, though we are a legal entity into the legal field, but for the benefit of the public at large, and you are also there with the same objective. So the question Jagruti is asking, any solutions for retina 4th stage?
What is the retinal problem in the 4th stage that she has described? Like, is she talking about retinopathy?
Just use a random. She's just asking any solutions for retina 4th stage. So I'll do one thing. Generally, if you want to speak, you can cover it. And in the second time, Jagruti, we have just mentioned Dr. Kunjal. You can contact Dr. Kunjal at drkunjal@gmail.com. And if you are seeing this video, our cell number is also there. So you may connect with doctor as well. Yeah, Kunjal.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what exactly, which condition she was talking about.
Any
so we'll go to the next
for
question.
retina 4th stage, basically.
Yeah, so retina condition, which condition in the 4th stage has not been specified.
No, only
so
the question is
connect with her personally.
Any solutions for retina 4th stage? So Jagruti, you may contact Dr. Kunjal and she'll be happy to guide you. Suchita is asking, we see hair strands in visions, how to cure?
I'm not sure about exactly if she means something that I explained to you about the black spot.
Okay.
Instead of the black spot, some people see a black thread like structure. Okay, so that is the same thing that I explained to you when I was explaining about the black spots, floaters. So nothing to do about it.
Okay, one of the participants is asking, one of my eye is having -11 glass power and another has -7 glass power, which is in 10th standard. Now pursuing MBA, is there any precautions, ma'am, to cure? So basically, I think it is somewhere relating to high power.
How much is the age? They've said 10th standard. Okay, so 15 years.
Maybe 16, 15.
Yeah,
16.
okay. Yeah, so as of now, you will have to hold on with the glasses. Suggestion would be to try lenses because, you know, the child is responsible enough to manage the lenses. If you have such a high power, then everything that the child sees is appearing small to him. Okay, minification happens. So if the child uses lenses, at least his quality of vision will improve. At this age, nothing much. We may or may not try the special drops for him. You need to consult the doctor for that. You know, that may help in reducing the increase in the number. But supposing the number has remained stable for the last couple of years, then there is no role of giving those drops. So as of now, regular glasses that they should wear. Contact lens is an option. And later on, once a child crosses 18 or 20 and the number is completely stable and they are desirous of getting rid of the glass number, then we can offer some surgical solutions like LASIK or eye.
Yeah. One is a very generic question, whether not wearing glasses increases the number.
No, this is a very common question actually. By wearing glasses, you're not going to be able to do anything to your glass number except see well. Okay. So it is very important not to have an eye strain and not to trouble your eyes, and you should not deprive yourself of the good vision that you will get. So please wear glasses regularly. By wearing glasses, you're not going to get rid of your number. Neither is it going to, you know, stop from increasing. If you, I always tell the parent, can you stop your child from, you know, developing or growing taller? Do you want your child to stop growing at 15 or whatever and remain short? No, right? So as your child develops, the whole body develops, so will the eye. So you just wear glasses regularly and leave it to God.
Though I'm not technically qualified to comment on this, but my experience, whatever I know, I'll be sharing. From a very young age, maybe 10, 8 or 9 years old, I am having specs at that time. And I went on to play cricket up to the Ranji Trophy. So by wearing specs, it is not limiting you in any way. As rightly pointed out by doctor, it is only for enhancement. Next question. I see very small air/water bubbles in front of my eyes since my childhood. I am 45 and don't smoke and non-diabetic. What is this? Small air/water bubbles.
I'm honestly not sure. And I'm really not sure what you have, sir. I would like to examine you personally.
Okay.
You may need a little detailed evaluation. I'll be happy to see you.
So
not a very common.
I'll request attendee to connect with Dr. Kunjal at drkunjal@gmail.com. Mr. Rajaraman is there. He's asking, is SCY fix retinal microstimulation is a proven cure today for loss of vision?
What microstimulation is a question there on the chat?
Yeah, it's there. If you see, Natarajan Rajaraman is the name of the gentleman. In the question answer, if you see, it is starting 4th question from the lowest, from the lower tab.
I'm not sure why I'm not able to see his question.
I'm just repeating it, or if you want, I can request him to modify his question.
No, just what did he say before the
he,
stimulation?
he's saying, is SCY fix, retinal microstimulation, is a proven cure today for the loss of vision? So basically, I think the question is ki there is a loss of vision, and is retino microstimulation a cure for it?
No. So the only condition in which there is some form of treatment, like putting some something like a plate or some stimulation from outside, that has
Okay.
been evaluated is a genetic problem of retinitis pigmentosa. That is the only condition in which something like that,
I think
like this is being
one minute,
tried.
Dr. Sorry to stop you. I think he has clarified. He is now saying, I am requesting you to share the cure for the macular eye, MACULAR degeneration for aged parents 85.
Yeah. So so the last condition which I shared about the retina, which is age-related macular degeneration. So very unfortunately, it's one of the most frustrating conditions. It doesn't have a sort of a permanent cure. If you have a membrane, if there is bleeding, then your doctor must have advised you to take injections. Okay. Some years back, we were doing some laser treatment to that. However, now it has been shown that various kinds of injections are the most useful treatment. The limitation of this being that you have to take the injections every few months. And it absolutely depends on the individual eye condition, that in how many injections will your condition come under control. And even after it comes a control, you need maintenance injections. So as of now, the most preferred therapy for wet macular degeneration or membrane or bleeding is various types of injections in the eye.
So I think many people are again asking for your contact details. So I'm just repeating it for the benefit of everyone. Email ID
Yeah,
may be
here you
noted
go.
as Dr. Kunjal, drkunjal@gmail.com, and the cell number is 9969203805. I repeat, 9969203805, and the email ID is drkunjal@gmail.com. The next question, or maybe the last question, we can take it up. Mr. Vivek is asking, nowadays during lockdown with increased screen time for children, 3 to 4 hours for school, 3 hours of tuition, and then in between they go for YouTube, do games apart from frequent breaks. What other remedies do you suggest to prevent eye damages?
So, as I covered in my slides on digital eye strain, this is a very unfortunate time that we are really going through, and I really hope we come out of it soon and get rid of the digital devices. You make sure that for the general well-being, your child is eating well. Okay, many people ask, will carrots help? Will green leafy vegetables really help to prevent the eye number from developing? Green leafy vegetables, carrots, or any source of iron or vitamin A helps the retina function normally. It has nothing to do with the glass numbers, okay? But it is important to have a very healthy diet, and the child should not be very sleepy and tired, when they're starting their school. Give them a very comfortable posture, and try to project their screen on a larger device like a television, and avoid giving them mobiles or laptops if possible. Relay it on your smart TV when they are in the online school. After every, say, like their half an hour session, encourage them to close their eyes and blink well. Okay, make sure that they're not taking their screen very close to their eye. Give them a comfortable dedicated place at home, which has a comfortable table and chair to sit with good lighting, and frequent breaks. The 20-20-20 rule that I explained to you, every 20 minutes, look at a distance 20 feet away and blink for 20 seconds. Okay, try and encourage them to follow that. And sometimes over the counter lubricating drops. Okay, like no financial interest, I'll just give you in the interest of the audience, something like tear drops or refresh tears, something like that, which has a very soothing tear supplement, can help. It can be used by elderly adults or children. Just put one drop in the eye, ask them to close for 5 minutes, and this sort of gives them a relief from the dryness and the heaviness that they're having.
Now I'm taking some of the questions I just saw in the chat section. Also, many people have put questions. So Kunjal, again, just 5 minutes for the benefit of the
Sure,
people.
no problem.
My daughter is 30 years and now sometimes she's feeling like blinking in one side of eye. Is this connected with eyesight?
30 years, she said 30
Yes,
years.
yes.
No, so don't worry. I think by this time she would have known if there was a I number.
Okay.
Frequent blinking, okay, can be a condition which can be caused by some electrolyte disturbance, in the sense that sometimes you have some small disturbances in your body of fluids or some sodium potassium. I You can just ignore it, okay. um, it is um, these disturbances are more, they cause more of twitching, okay, like it will be like twitching, and sometimes infrequent blinking also can happen because of this. Sometimes it can also be because there is something different that is happening, like exposure to digital devices or an environment where there's suddenly a lot of dust and pollution and the eyes are getting irritated and dry, okay, then sometimes even that can cause blinking. So if there is no frequent watering, if there is no redness, if the person is able to see well, then I think you can just, let some time pass, and if it's not all right, then you should consult your eye doctor. But doesn't seem to be something to be very much worried about.
The next question, if I'm taking it from the chat section, Benaz is asking, is there a cure for retinitis pigmentosa? What type of inheritance pattern does it have? Autosomal, sex-linked, dominant, recessive?
So, so more, there are a lot of, see, basically retinitis pigmentosa is a genetic disease, okay? The inheritance pattern is basically getting very complicated now with more and more research that is being done. But most of the cases are autosomal recessive. But that is a little too technical to go over right now at this, in this forum. And that is not of relevance to the general people. But what is important to know is that practically, when we see people who are married within their families, okay, when they certain cultural rituals where they get married within the family and they are related, the husband wife are related, then the chances of people developing there are some specific kind of eye problems which can develop, okay. So we see that in certain cultural sections and certain parts of India. Now this specific condition called as retinitis pigmentosa has no cure. Whatever little role of giving some vitamin A supplements has been described, but that also has not been proven to have any benefit. As of now, there is no cure for retinitis pigmentosa. Depending on how much vision the person has, we give them low vision aids, okay? So we give them special glasses, special tinted glasses, something to increase their visual field, like telescope glasses, okay? We have to do an evaluation, and if we feel that this can benefit, then we offer that. And whatever advances are being done, to put something inside the eye which will stimulate the retina is being done for retinitis pigmentosa. However, nothing really has come into the market which can be of use, or can be put to immediate use in this condition. So it's not really curable in that sense.
I will now try to just club couple of questions and try to put it forward. One of the questions is ki, there is lot of unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, because of this COVID time, most of us are indoors caged. But if everything goes back to where we were prior to March, then lot of outdoor activities, irrespective of the profession we are involved in, we all are into. So can you just throw some light on the sunglasses, what we wear, what are the sunglasses, quality and all that? And if someone is not privileged like me, who is having specs and I don't want to leave it, so what I can do to have, can I have a power sunglasses or something? Can you just...
Absolutely. Okay. So what we see, sunglasses, I mean, it's a really a big market, and some science is there, but there's a lot of marketing also in that. Okay, so we have to accept it. So what I personally do is that I follow sort of a branded sunglass which I will feel comfortable in, which has a good protection. Okay, so you use glasses, say, see, like it depends on the kind of work
Or
that you're doing.
sorry to cut you. Matlab, just as a layman, if I am going in a showroom to buy a, let's say, a sunglasses, what should I check? Is there some parameters or what, matlab, how it is?
So those technical details are many times not available to us, okay? But you just check for how much is the UV blocking capacity, okay? So try to buy something which has a known optimal UV blocking capacity. And another most important thing is that you should, if you are a patient who has a high minus number, then by giving your prescription to the optician, you can get sunglasses made with your power incorporated in that. And another thing that you can do is that you have clip-ons. So with your regular glasses, you will have the clip-on black shades, okay? So you can just, when you step out, just clip it on your regular glasses and then you just remove it. So that is the
fashion
that you can do.
Going to
And
the retro
try
age.
to avoid light colors, like, take more of the blacks, So the lighter shades may not, in the sunglasses, may not be of much help. So now when we, see the different colors, the greens and the yellows and all, they are not really going to give you that much of protection as much as other darker shades of the goggles going to give you.
Just taking it to the next level, people who have specs, generally they're a photochromatic or something like, I don't know what is the technical word, whereby I go outdoor, it becomes dark, and when I am indoor, it is again. How safe are those type of things to be worn?
They're absolutely safe, but there is only one thing. They are very practical to use, okay? Because you just have to keep one pair and then that takes care of it when you're outside. However, remember that the protection that those glasses give you from the ultraviolet light, or how much benefit they will give you, say supposing you're not tolerant to sunlight. So those photochromatic glasses will be not as effective as much as you wearing a proper sunglass. So they do have some protection. It's better than having nothing, okay? It's like that. But the best would be to have a proper sunglass with your prescription if possible.
Just last two questions, and again, it is from my side. Normally when I wear glasses, it's anti-glare. Normal specs I'm talking about. Can you just help our audience the importance of anti-glare glasses?
Now many people opt for anti-glare glasses even when they don't have a glass number. Okay, this is a very common question that we face from avid computer users in the IT world, or anybody for that matter in this kind of a life that we have. So study wise, that there is no proven benefit of using anti-glare glasses, especially just sitting in front of computers. If you're using anti-glare glasses, that has no proven big benefit, okay? That is more of a marketing gimmick, I would say. So I would rather feel that you should have a decent anti-glare on your laptop or your computer screen, and that should be enough. You don't really need to wear an anti-glare glass. But if you are a spectacle wearer anyways, and you have an anti-glare coating, then that's not going to harm. It will give you a little benefit. It's not harmful at all.
Also, let's say when we are driving at night, and if we have specs, many times if the light is high beam is coming, there may be a problem, but by wearing anti-glare, it helps you.
It helps to a certain extent. Yes, it helps to a certain extent. Not as much as it will help you in the daytime, right, but it will help you to a certain extent.
So just I'll rephrase the question. Let's shift our time zone from the morning to the evening or the night. And nowadays there is some craze, or I don't know why should be using that craze or what, I don't know, I'm not getting that word. People are also using night vision glasses.
Right.
So can you just for a normal person like me or someone else, how beneficial it is?
So I'm not sure what exactly. See, what I would like to say is that you should have glasses. There is a sudden lot of inquiry about something called as a Blu-ray glasses. Okay, so what is this? Basically, the blue light, okay, it affects the retina, and it doesn't really affect the retina, but it's a natural mechanism that it stimulates the release of certain hormones, okay, like melatonin. Now that tells your brain that you don't have to sleep. It is daytime. Okay. So blue light, which is emitted, say, from digital devices, will tell your brain. So if you are using, say, your mobile phone when it is dark, okay, and you're getting exposed to the blue light, it will tell your brain that, okay, melatonin is released. Now you don't have to sleep because it is daytime. So you won't get sleep. So there are a lot of questions that people ask about wearing those blue blocking or the night vision glasses. But actually there's not much of science to really, prove that it's going to be very effective. So I would really say that really don't really go behind it. It's okay. I mean, it's not a big deal unless you really have a eye problem and you're really having a lot of problems while night driving. You can give it a try. But as a regular wearer, I wouldn't really recommend you to do it.
So it was a very knowledgeable session, Dr. Kunjal. I can say it from the angle or a viewpoint of as a layman who doesn't know anything apart from my, except knowing that I have two eyes. My layness is that much. So definitely, I think you have created a lot of awareness for non-technical people like us who would have related. Some of them have also benefited with your kind advice. I think you have also shared your email ID. One more time, you made just for the benefit
Yeah,
of the
sure.
I'll just read it also out. Dr. Kunjal, that is DrKunjal @gmail.com, and the cell number is 9969203805. You may connect with Dr. Kunjal offline also. So Kunjal, we are very thankful to you. We have devoted some time out of your busy schedule for the benefit of the society at large, and you have touched upon on all the issues. I don't think you have left anything, and in a very easy manner you have interacted with us, from a kid to the age old, from the normal eye ailment to the complicated matters like cataract and retina also we have covered. We are very thankful and we are very obliged to you for taking today's session, and it was very nice interacting with you.
Thank you very much, Rishikesh. I genuinely appreciate what you're doing. I know you're very busy because you're really working hard from home, and despite that, over the last 2-3 months, the spectrum of talks that you've been covering purely to increase awareness and help the audience. I mean, I truly appreciate what you've been doing, and that's why I was very enthusiastic, and I really wanted to contribute to what you were doing. So I'm extremely thankful to you, to Udan Saluters, to Mr. Sharad for getting this together, and I really had a very good time, and I'm really happy that we had a lot of audience and we interacted very well with a lot of questions, because I love academics and I love to interact with people, and I really like to share my knowledge. So thank you very much from my side.
For the benefit of everyone, I'll just, you can visit Facebook. The page name is Udan Space Saluters. Over there, all our recordings of the previous sessions are available. You can also visit Facebook. The name of the page in the Facebook, the channel is Rishikesh Vyas, everything small. And all our sessions are getting recorded, and we also upload over there for the benefit of the people. And in a 2 or 3 days time, this session of Dr. Kunjal also will be uploaded over there. Thank you very much, Kunjal.
Thank you.
And also thanks very much to all the participants. Please keep on participating. You all have our email ID. You are free to give us your suggestions, whatever sessions you want from us. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. See you. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you.